Manchester United agree 5-year contracts with Mazraoui and Matthijs de Ligt. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has taken a step closer to joining West Ham, and Harry Maguire apparently not leaving the club this summer. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's live show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. If you want to keep up to date with all of your latest news and talk, make sure you get involved. Completely free content, doesn't cost any money. So make sure you go and subscribe right now. Right, let's jump straight on into it. And I want to start the show off by reacting to a story that just broke in the last couple of minutes, that apparently Mazraoui has now handed in a transfer request at Bayern Munich. This is coming out from multiple different people today, saying that Mazraoui has told Bayern Munich he wants to leave and has agreed a 5-year deal with Manchester United. So it looks like Mazraoui will be our next signing. How does everybody feel about that? I'm quite excited about it. I am. I think he'll be a really, really good addition to the squad. Fabrizio Romano has also said, I understand the agreement reached between Man United and Mazraoui is a 5-year deal until June 2029 with the option of 1 further year. So he is 26, I believe, at the moment. So he will be 31 by the time his contract expires, which is about right, isn't it? He's 27 this year, actually. So, yeah, he'll be 31, 32 by the time his 5-year deal expires. But I'm really excited to see what Mazraoui can bring to Manchester United. I think he's a very different profile to what Wan-Bissaka is. Yes, Wan-Bissaka is great defensively, but going forward, Wan-Bissaka is very, very limited. And I think Mazraoui will open up a whole different level of dynamics. So I'm really, really excited about that. But how do you guys feel about Mazraoui? Is he the player that you were dreaming of? Did you want Ferdi Kadioglu? Did you want David Hanko? Like, who did you want to play as that kind of right back, left back option? I'm happy. I think Mazraoui is a good replacement for Wan-Bissaka. And I think in the market where we are now, where we're being told we have to sell to buy, like, I don't think we can really be unhappy with Mazraoui. I really, really don't. Because the alternative is this, right? The alternative is you get no right back, Wan-Bissaka stays, and then he leaves for free in 12 months. Is that really a better alternative? Because then in 12 months, we'll have to buy another right back anyway. The only thing I'm a little bit unsure about so far in this window, right, which I wanted to talk to you all about, we're continually being told that we need to sell to buy, sell to buy, sell to buy, right? That's the narrative that's, been everybody's saying that at the moment, don't they? But if you actually look at our net spend so far this window, right, our net spend is 62 million euros, which I don't think that's very much, is it? I mean, what's that in pounds? Yeah, 50 million pounds is our net spend so far. If you compare that with last summer, right, under the Glazers, our net spend was 143 million. So 2.5 times what we've spent now. We've made more money this window than we did in the whole of the last window combined. That's mad, isn't it? And I don't really understand this whole sell to buy. Obviously, I do understand it, but are they really telling us that we can't buy any more players until we sell players? I don't think that's the case, though. I think we do have the money. And I think what Ineos are doing is clever. Because let's rephrase this. Imagine Manchester United go and buy Branthwaite, De Ligt and Mazraoui this week, right? Say they get those deals done. And then they say, we now want to sell Wan-Bissaka and we now want to sell Lindelof. No one's going to offer us any good money for it because they'll know that they're surplus to requirements. Whereas the way we're trying to do deals now is we're trying to do them in unison with each other. So we'll get a here we go for Wan-Bissaka, and then I bet you any money 5 minutes later we'll get a here we go for Mazraoui. I bet you that will happen. We'll get a here we go that maybe Hannibal's leaving, Eriksen's leaving, and somebody else is leaving, and then we'll get an Ugarte here we go. We'll get a here we go that Lindelof's leaving, and then we'll get a De Ligt here we go. And I bet you any money that's what will happen for the rest of this window. And I know it's frustrating, and I know people are like, I want more players, and I get it. But it's a very different approach to what we saw under the Glazers. And I think it's a very, very clever approach. So I'm not going to be critical of it. I'm not. Because if my understanding of the situation is correct, the way that Ineos are doing it is way more sensible. It is. Just think about it logically. Like, if we were to sign Mazraoui today and then start negotiating with West Ham aren't going to pay us as much, are they? Because they'll say, well, we know you need to sell. You've just bought a new right back, etc., etc. Whereas in previous windows, we'd go and buy players and then the window would get later on, and then we try and sell people and no one would want to buy them and we'd be stuck with them. So I know it's annoying. I know people want deals immediately, but yeah, I'm okay with it. And I think that we will get a lot of business this week. I think obviously we'll get Wan-Bissaka, here we go. We'll definitely get Mazraoui, here we go. I think we'll probably get a De Ligt, here we go as well. So in relation to Mazraoui, apparently the transfer fee is going to be £20 million, including add-ons. I think that's fair. But apparently Manchester United told Bayern Munich that they were happy to pay a little bit extra for Mazraoui if it meant that they could get a bit of a discount on De Ligt. So, because obviously we've got to remember, Mazraoui was going to join West Ham for, I think, £15 million. So we're paying a little bit more than what West Ham had previously agreed for Mazraoui. So yeah, that works out all right, I think. That we pay a little bit more for Mazraoui, but then we get a bit of a reduction on the De Ligt deal, which should hopefully then allow De Ligt to join Manchester United and should push through that transfer because we desperately need him. Obviously, Ligt and Yoro could be out for as long as 2 or 3 months. That's what's being reported. Hopefully, that's not the case. Hopefully, it's just a really small injury. But you know, there are some people saying worst case scenario. Apparently, it's a muscular injury and it could be a long time out. So we desperately need to strengthen in the centre-back position because first game of the season against Fulham, the centre-back partnership is going to be Maguire and Martinez. And that's even if Martinez is fit. I'm sure he will be fine, but obviously he's still on holiday, Martinez. I don't think he comes back to training till the end of this week. So he might only have had like a week of training before the first game of the season. Whereas if you think like Sancho, all these other players, they've been training for like a month now. You know, they'll have played like 3 or 4 professional games by the time we start the season. Whereas Dalot, Bruno, Xerxes, Martinez, like they're going to have had a bit of a lengthy spell out. So yeah, let's see what people are saying. Matt says, have you got any news on Obi Martin to Manchester United? In relation to Obi Martin, the Arsenal striker, he has officially left Arsenal. So it's all up to him now. He's come to Old Trafford. He's come to Carrington. He's come round and had the tour by Ruud van Nistelrooy. So it all just depends on what he decides. But apparently he is favouring a move to Manchester United. So it just all depends now on the details, on when that will get announced and all the rest of it. But it does look like Obi Martin will join Manchester United. But he's going to be a youth player, remember. He's not going to come straight into the first team. It will be he'll be slowly implemented into the team. So although it's exciting, it's not going to make a massive difference in the first window. I would be very surprised anyway. Let's see what else people are saying. Cool Gamer Boy says, you got any news on Ugarte? Any news on Zubimendi? The situation with Ugarte and Zubimendi is exactly the same. Like, it's going to be a domino effect for the rest of the window. So, as I said, if Hannibal goes and Eriksen goes, we'll probably bring in a new midfielder straight away. If Lindelof goes, we'll sign De Ligt. If Wan-Bissaka goes, we'll sign Mazraoui. Like, that's how the window's going to go for the rest of it. And I know it's a bit tedious, but I'm confident that Ineos will get out the players we need to sell. I don't think Maguire's going anywhere. We'll talk about him in a minute. But generally, I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling confident that Ineos will do the business that we need to do. So yeah, try to, put your minds at ease. What else we got? Somebody's trying to tell me that Ugarte's a done deal. I don't think so. So let's jump over to Wan-Bissaka then. So the news this evening is that apparently West Ham are in advanced talks with Manchester United over the signing of Wan-Bissaka, and apparently they are now close to an agreement. The fee is going to be around £15 million, which I think is perfectly reasonable. I'm happy with £15 million. When you consider that they've only got 1 year left of their contract, Wan-Bissaka, I think 15 million is probably fair. If he had 2 or 3, I think you'd get 30 million for him, but with 1 year left on his deal, you're not going to get more than 15, 20 million top. So apparently it'll be 15 million plus add-ons, and that will then allow us to go and buy Mazraoui, who's available for 15 million plus add-ons. So it's a like-for-like transfer. One goes, and the other one comes in. People are trying to tell me that Ugarte is a here we go. I don't think so, my friend. I don't think so. I hope it is. I really, really do, but I think you're having me on. And you are having me on. What a surprise. Anyway, let's move on from that, though. Let's move over to Scott McTominay. So apparently Fulham are going to put in a new bid for Scott McTominay. That's being reported in the last couple of minutes from Sky Sports. They are reporting that Fulham are expected to go back in with an improved offer for McTominay once they have completed the signing of Emil Smith-Rowe. So Emil Smith-Rowe is obviously moving to Fulham for, I think it's £34 million, which is crazy. We should be getting at least 30 million for McTominay. If Emil Smith-Rowe is worth 34 million, then McTominay's worth 30. I'm sorry, he is. Like, Emil Smith-Rowe hasn't played football for like 2 years. He's just been injured or sat on the bench. So if they can get 34 million for him, we should be able to get 30 million for McTominay, definitely. But apparently, like I said a couple of minutes ago, Sky Sports are reporting that we effectively need to sell McTominay, or we need to sell Eriksen, or we need to sell Hannibal. We need to sell one of those midfielders, or Casemiro, in order to try and bring in Ugarte or Zubimendi or whoever it is that you want in that position. So it is frustrating, but we still have, I think, a month left of the window. There's plenty of time left. Don't worry. We will get deals done. And obviously it looks like the first 2 deals, or at least the next 2 deals, will be De Ligt and Mazraoui. Everyone who's watching the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. We've got over 750 people watching, which is amazing. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video, and we are only 4 subscribers away from 33,900. Please go and subscribe if you haven't already. I am going to be giving out 2 Manchester United shirts when we hit 40k. So go and subscribe, get involved. It's completely free content. Everyone is welcome. Okay, cool. Let's see. Somebody's saying that Ligt and Yoro is out for 6 weeks. I've not heard that anywhere. I think at the moment, to be honest, right, all of the people who are saying they know Ligt and Yoro's injury and they've been told this and that, it's all speculation at the moment. Nobody knows the extent of Ligt and Yoro's injury other than Erik ten Hag and Manchester United. It hasn't been made public knowledge yet, but as soon as we know exactly how long Ligt and Yoro will be out for, I will let you know, okay? So don't worry about that. Right, I want to move over to Christian Eriksen because there is some news on him. The news this evening is that apparently Manchester United would be willing to accept a bid of 5 million euros for Christian Eriksen this summer. 1 year left of his deal. He's on 150 grand a week. Eriksen did speak earlier to the media and said that he's got 1 year left of his contract and he'd like to stay and all the rest of it. But there apparently is an understanding that if an offer comes in for Christian Eriksen, that he will leave the club this summer. At the moment, the 2 most likely destinations are Ajax and also Anderlecht. So 2 decent clubs there. 5 million euros, it doesn't sound like a lot, but the thing you have to remember is, right, it would be 100% profit if we were to sign him for 5 million euros because we got him for nothing. He was a free agent. So I would have no problem with that. I think Eriksen definitely needs to be moved on. And if moving on Eriksen allows us then funds to buy an Ugarte or to buy Zubimendi or whoever it might be, go and get it done. You know, sell Hannibal. You could get 5 to 10 million for him. Sell Eriksen, 5 million, fine. Sell McTominay. That would be over 50 million there in 3 players. And that would get you the new CDM. And then give Toby Collier a go on the bench. I think everyone would be happy with that, right? And the thing is as well, right? Like, the thing with Eriksen is his wages are astronomical. You know, 150 grand a week. That is a hell of a lot of money. It is. To put it into context, if you look at West Ham, right? West Ham's highest earner is Paquetá, and he earns less than Christian Eriksen does. So, and Paquetá's their best player. He's their star man. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat today. Somebody says, how sure are you that we will sign players this window? Mate, we will sign lots of players, don't you worry. Lawazi says, have you got an update on Rasmus? Rasmus is back in training. So that's really, really good. Rasmus is back. Yeah, really, really happy about that. Really happy. Amnat says, Kieran, describe our centre-back, right-back, left-back for our upcoming season and what would be your ideal 4. I'm getting Mazraoui because I think he's versatile. He can play at left-back, right-back and CDM. So I'm going for him. Centre-back, I probably would rather Branthwaite, but I just don't think it's realistic. I think it's going to be too much money, so I'd go with De Ligt. And that would probably be it in those positions. But yeah. Okay, let's move on from that, though. Let's move on to lots of people asking about Manuel Ugarte. As I said, guys, the situation remains the same. We need to sell a midfielder. McTominay looks like the most likely option in that area to leave. As I said, Fulham apparently going to submit a second bid. Fulham's first bid was 17 million. That was rejected by Manchester United, and rightly so. That's laughable. So yeah, we're going to have to pay more. They're going to have to pay more than 17 million in order to convince Manchester United to sell. Another player who looks like they're going to leave the club is Facundo Pellistri. Apparently, he is still in talks with Greek side Panathinaikos over a summer move there. I don't know how much money we'd get for him. My guess is probably 5 to 10 million tops. So it looks like there's going to be lots of small sales. You know, there's not going to be any big names going, I don't think. Obviously, McTominay, that would be a big name if we got rid of him, and that would generate a decent amount of funds. But generally, it's going to be more smaller kind of name players that are going to be leaving by the looks of things at the moment, which you have to do that. You have to do that to raise funds, don't you? Like, if Pellistri's surplus to requirements, let him go. If Eriksen's going to be a bench player and not play, let him go. That's what we need to do. We need to rebuild. We need to have open heart surgery, as Ralph Ragnick said. And this is the first summer where I feel like we have the ability to do that, because Ineos are looking at the situation and saying, you've been here for 5 years, goodbye. You're not good enough, goodbye. And that's how we have to operate. If we want to get back to be an elite level football club, we have to be ruthless. And I think we are, starting to be a bit more ruthless. Somebody says, why is he going to Greece? That's so weird. I don't know, mate, to be honest. I guess you can only go where you've got somebody who wants to buy. Adriana says, do you think we need another striker? I mean, we do need another striker, but we don't have the money for it. So it's a bit of a, how long's a short of string? How long is a piece of string type question. Do we want a new striker? Yes, we should get another one. Do we have the money to do it? No. So this summer, I would say Xerxes and Højlund is fine as the two strikers. Obviously, Bruno can play as a false nine. Rashford can play as a striker, worst case scenario. Ahmad's played as a false nine before as well. So you do really have 4 options there in that striker position. You can have Ahmad and Bruno as false nines. Rashford, Xerxes and Højlund can all play as strikers. So yeah, you've got 5 options. So I don't think we can really budget any more money for strikers. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you think that's the priority. Maybe you think we desperately need a new striker to kind of unlock the season. But I don't think so, personally. I think we need to strengthen in lots of other areas. And as Nick says, we should give Ethan Wheatley minutes. Yeah, that's a fair point. We've got a young player there who has just broken into the first team. And I think he should get some opportunities, Why not? Give him a go. I'm not saying start him every single week, but give him at least a couple of minutes here and there as a backup player. Why not? Let's see what else people are saying in the chat this evening. Somebody's asking about the stadium. Yeah, we did a video on the stadium earlier on today, but I'm happy to talk about it. So in relation to the stadium, apparently they are going to build a brand new 100,000 capacity stadium. Sounds great. Apparently they're kind of inspired by that Sophie Stadium where we played on the weekend against Arsenal. I'm starting to warm to the idea of this new stadium, but I just think that we have to make sure that Old Trafford is kept in some capacity, whether it's for the under-21s, for the women's team, whether it's for sports concert, for tours, I don't know, for something. Like, it would be absolutely devastating if Old Trafford was ripped down. It would be gutting. So, yeah, that's my take on that. But you can let me know what you think about the stadium in the comment section below. What else have I got planned for the show this evening? I feel like there is some other bits that... Obviously, the McTominay story was the big one, isn't it? There's still murmurs coming out about Anthony leaving. So obviously we'll have to see how that goes. I personally don't think Anthony's going anywhere. Apparently he wants to stay. He wants to fight for his place, which I actually... I don't know. I would almost prefer it if Anthony just accepted that he wasn't good enough and needed to go off and kind of enjoy his football again, I just hope and pray that Erik ten Hag doesn't pick Anthony every week. I really do. Like, it needs to be Ahmad. We've got so many better options in the right wing position than Anthony. We've got a super chat coming in from Premium. They said, we need a DM to replace Amrabat, even if no outgoings. Mate, you make a really... Thank you for your super chat, by the way. And you make a really, really good point. Really good point. Like, I said this on a show a couple of days ago. And you know that we don't do negativity on this channel. It's a positive channel, a positive community, non-toxic. That's... something we've always tried to focus on here. But so far, do we have a better playing squad than we did at the beginning of the window? I don't think we do, to be honest. I think it's actually worse. But as I've said to you before, things have to get bad before they can get better. And Ineos have been ruthless so far this window, I think, in the outgoings department. When you look at the players we've got rid of, right? So far, you've got rid of Mason Greenwood, Willy Camboala, Alvaro Fernandez, Donny van der Beek, Varane, Omari Forson, Anthony Martial, Shola Shiratire, Brandon Williams, and Sofian Amrabat. 10 players have gone. We've raised over 50 million euros in transfer fees. If you compare that to last season, right, or last summer even, under the Glazers, the last season under the Glazers, we literally only got rid of 3 players. Or 4 players even. We got rid of Dean Henderson, Alanga, Fred, and Alex Telles, and that was it. All window. 4 players. So I think we have had a better window in outgoings department already this summer. But as you said, we lost Amrabat. We need to replace Amrabat, you know? And that's what I was saying to you earlier on in the show. Like, I don't genuinely believe that we need to sell to buy, because our net spend is only 50 million. And we've seen that Ineos are spreading the transfer fees out over 4 or 5 years. So our net spend is 50 million, but each of that 50 million is spread over 4 or 5 years. So we've really only spent probably like 10 million this summer net so far, if you work it out like that. And there's no way that you can tell me that Man United can only spend 10 million. No way. Whenever we weren't in the Champions League under the Glazers, they would spend like 150, 200 million net every summer. They did. Go back and look. They would never sell anybody, and they would spend ridiculous amounts of money. And I think that Ineos are trying to do it differently, and people will say they're spending less than the Glazers, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think it's about that. It's about rebalancing the books. It's about getting us back above ground, because at the moment we're underwater. We're drowning. We're drowning in wages. We're drowning in players who are hanging around, refusing to leave. We're drowning in players that we've overpaid on and we can't, get any money back for. And they're trying to reset everything. And that's going to take time. And I know it's frustrating. And I know that people thought, this was going to be the biggest window of our, of our recent history. And I thought it would be as well. And I think so far, Xerxes and Yoro is 2 great signings, but it's not enough. Like, I still think we'll be battling for probably, with the squad we've got at the moment, I think we'll be battling for top 6. And that's not being negative, it's being realistic. We finished 8th last season, and we've got rid of 10 players and signed 2. So if you just look at it based on that logic, I don't see how we can say, we're going to win the league based on what we've done so far. Lenior is injured as well. Xerxes can't play at the same time as Højlund, so it's going to either be Xerxes or Højlund. So our starting 11 at the moment will probably be pretty much the same as it was last year, minus Varane, minus Amrabat, minus a couple of others. So, yeah, there's still a lot of work left to do. Derek says we have replaced Amrabat, though. Toby Collier is Amrabat's replacement. That's a fair point. I hadn't really thought about that. And to be fair, from what I've seen of Toby Collier, I would rather give him game time than Amrabat, to be honest, genuinely. And, we're always focused on signings, but we have got Amrabat. Sorry, we haven't got Amrabat. We've got Toby Collier and we've got Harry Amas. 2 players who are going to be part of the first team squad next season. So, yeah, that's good. We've got over 800 people in the room now. If everyone could do me a little favour and smash a like. We've only got 200 likes on the video and there's 800 people watching. So it's completely free content. I would really, really appreciate it if you liked the video. It doesn't cost you any money, so there's no reason why you can't do it. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe as well. We're now 1 away from 33,900. And when we hit, so let's try and hit 34k by the end of this video. We can do that easily. Everybody go and subscribe who is not currently subscribed. And yeah, I'm sure we'll hit 34k by the end. And we are giving out the 2 Man United kits when we hit 40k. So go and do that now. Make sure you subscribe. People are saying all hope is lost. Nah, we can't think like that. We can't think like that. I told you at the very beginning of the window, it's going to take time. It's going to take 3 or 4 windows before we're in the position where everything's back to normal, right? It will. It's going to take a long, long time because a lot of these players are on big contracts and don't want to leave. Anthony doesn't want to leave. Maguire doesn't want to leave. Like, there's probably others that I haven't thought about who don't want to leave. They're happy earning their big wages, that nobody's going to pay them anywhere else. Maguire's on 200k a week. You're honestly telling me that any other club is going to pay Maguire 200k a week? They wouldn't. So Ineos are effectively clearing up the mess of the Glazers, you know? And that's going to take time. It's not going to be an overnight thing. So to say all hope is lost, like, we have to show some patience, you know? Yeah. Dorwit says, but Mainu and Collier in midfield is very inexperienced. I would agree with that. I would. Leaf says Martinez and Shaw are back from injury, plus Sanchez and Xerxes. I'm not sure what you mean there, mate. I'm not sure what you mean. Obviously, Mason Mount's back as well. Sancho's back. So, I mean, effectively, Mason Mount and Sancho are like new signings, really, if you think about it. Name says we need one more window for top 4. Yeah. I think it's going to take a few, to be honest. I think this window, by this time next year, I think we'll be in a much better place. Because obviously, this time next year, Maguire will be gone. There's a whole list of players whose contracts expires next year. And it's all the players that you want rid of, apart from Antony. So it might end up being that we have to wait until next year to get some out of the door. So the players that are expiring next year, Scott McTominay, Wan-Bissaka, who's going to go this summer, Harry Maguire, Diallo, but I think he'll get a new contract, Victor Lindelof, he'll leave this summer, Pellistri, he'll leave this summer, Hannibal, he'll leave this summer, Eriksen, I think, will leave this summer, Johnny Evans, no one's going to buy him, but he'll leave next summer, and Tom Heaton. So I honestly think of the players' contracts who are expiring next summer, I reckon 9 of them will go. The only one that will stay will be Amad Diallo. So think of it like that, right? By this time next year, Eriksen, Hannibal, Johnny Evans, McTominay, Maguire, like all of them will be gone. Manchester United would be crazy to give any of them a new contract. They would be, I think. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to give Maguire a new 3-year contract. I mean, that would be like a go and bury my head in the garden type moment because, yeah, that would be very, very strange. But you never know in football, do you? Nigel says, I'm way more hopeful under Ineos than I was under John Murta. Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. And I honestly think how Ineos are playing this transfer market is the right way to do it. It is. And I know people are frustrated. People are like, I want a deal now. I want this now. But it makes way more sense to sell the players that you want to sell, get the money in, and then go and buy their replacements. We already have all the replacements lined up. Ugarte's lined up. Mazraoui's lined up. De Ligt's lined up. Like, all of the deals are all waiting to be confirmed, right? They just want to make sure that they get players out first. Opposed to what Chelsea did. Chelsea's owners came in. They spent $500 million in one window. And you had players who didn't even have a seat in the dressing room. You had players that couldn't even be registered for the Premier League because their squad was too big. That's what will happen if Ineos go and spend all the money now and don't sell the players. They need to make sure that they've got a good squad. People talking about Rashford in the chat. I just think the Rashford conversation is pointless. It's completely pointless. Nobody wants to buy Rashford. It's not like we have a bid on the table for Rashford and we've rejected it. Nobody wants to buy Rashford. No one. So it's easy for people to say, I don't like Rashford, get rid of him, he's negative, whatever. But you can't sell something when there isn't a buyer, you know? So, yeah, I just think the whole Rashford conversation, like, we should get behind Rashford. Let's back him. Let's hope that he has a big season. That's all we can do. Because there is no buyer for Marcus Rashford at the moment. So, yeah. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It feels like a good time to end the show. Please make sure to smash a like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're very, very close to 34k now. We're only 2 away. Go and subscribe. Let's do that. And I'll be back at... There probably will be a little show this evening, like a short one. And then obviously I'll be back at 8:30 tomorrow for the morning show. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Bye for now.